Back here on Radio Row, Friday afternoon. Boy, it's been a fabulous week here at the Sheraton Hotel Times Square. Darren McFarland, Brad Hopkins, Derek Mason with you. All of our coverage this week brought to you by Low T Center of Nashville. Two great locations there in Middle Tennessee. And guys, we've had treats at our table all week, right?
Yes,
we've interviewed some pretty special individuals, and it doesn't get any bigger than this. Barry Sanders here donning
that
the
jacket
yellow.
good.
Wait a minute, is it yellow or is it gold?
Well, he's had his for so long now that it's probably changed a little bit of the color.
Barry Sanders here at our table, the great running back, the Detroit Lions here. Barry, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great, and I'm not sure if it's yellow or gold, but it's always nice to wear. Always nice
good
to wear.
on you. I tell you that.
It's my color.
That's
it's my favorite color.
And before we get into this, I just want to say I grew up in Detroit, a Mumford product on the west side of Detroit. And watching you while I was growing up, man, there was not much to cheer about, but watching you, man, you couldn't help but be in front of the television and just watch some of the amazing runs that you made. If we knew nothing else was going to go right, we knew Barry Sanders was coming out there to play. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
I love being there. Love being a Lion, and we had some great times in the Dome. Absolutely.
Barry, you're almost an aberration because you're one of the only players to have achieved such greatness and walk away when you wanted to walk away. So many athletes kind of, when it's all said and done, they got to be forced out, so to speak. You just basically, you said you were done, you walked away from the game, and there were so many regrets that the NFL has of you not being a part of that. Just talk about that experience of you just saying goodbye to the game.
Well, for me, it's certainly a individual decision. It was a tough decision, but one that I knew. Later in my career, especially my 10th year, I knew that was pretty much it. But it was certainly difficult to grapple with that. But I had 10 great years. I had a great run, a great experience playing the game, and just knew that it was time to move on. And so that's really what it came down to. It lost sort of that fire to keep playing the game, and so that was pretty much it.
10 years, 1,000 yards plus each season that you played in those 10 years. In your 9th season, you rushed for 2,000 yards. The reason why I brought that up is because in our own backyard, we had a running back rush for 2,000 yards, and he still is chasing that 2,000-yard season. Was that an issue for you, maybe even coming into your last year, trying to do what you did the 9th?
Well, I understood. For me, I understood that running for 2,000 yards is a very unique thing, and you almost can't even plan for it, because like as you pointed out, in my 9th year I ran for 2,000. A couple other times I was close, and just realized and almost had my hopes up, and I think it may have been year 5 or 6 or something like that is when I ended up with like 1,800 and something, and was only 100 and some yards shy of it. And just realized that, it's much harder than you think, because so many things have to go right. Offensive linemen staying healthy and other types of team success and things like that. And all those things don't come together every year, even when you're a great player.
Right.
And so God bless him. I hope he can do it again. But I would say the second time is much harder than the first.
I want to get your take on this, Barry, because I've always wondered, just because in my opinion, I hate when we tag these young athletes the next so-and-so. And you're one of those guys. You were so great. You were so special at your position. We tend to say he's the next Barry Sanders, or in basketball, he's the next Michael Jordan. I hate that. What do you think when you hear that? Is it unfair to young kids whenever they're tagged, that they could be the next so-and-so?
It is a little bit unfair, but it certainly goes with the territory. Certain players, I guess, raise the level of play in the game, and certainly leave their marker on the game. And we want young players to aspire to those things. I think all of us want to see LeBron James become as great as Michael Jordan, or at least some of us do. So I think we want to challenge them and make sure that that their performance on the field and on the court or whatever is of premium importance. But it is to some degree unfair. It happens to all of us, but that's certainly something that shouldn't bother you. You should, you should always strive for excellence, even if we weren't comparing you to someone else. Excellence should still be your goal.
What goes through your mind when you hear a kid tagged, oh, he could be the next Barry Sanders?
Well, it's certainly a compliment, for me, I don't pay great attention to it, other than, hey, look, I was fortunate enough to be able to have a career where people compare, some of the young guys to that.
Now, I saw you down at the Rose Bowl. You were there representing for your son because he's a Stanford student there. Has it been hard for him? He's Barry Sanders Jr. Has it been hard for him? And what have you told him or explained to him about this whole situation, football and everything?
Well, for him, I think it's been much different. He's really enjoyed, being my son and that attention that comes with that. He kind of grew up doing the football university thing and played in the U.S. Army All-American game and enjoyed that whole process, of going to different schools and being recruited. One of the things that I stress is that, everybody has pressure on them. I represent those kids who no one knew coming out of high school, who was trying to make a name for himself. And I felt like I had the weight of the world on my shoulders. And there are a lot of kids out there like that. That can understand that feeling, and that's pressure as well. So I don't think it matters who your dad or mom is. When you step on the field, you got to perform. When you step on the field, you have responsibility to your university or your team or whatever to be as great as you can be. And hopefully that's what he tries to do.
So you couldn't get him to go to Oklahoma State?
No, he thought about it. He thought about it. And obviously you can only choose one. So,
exactly.
But I'm happy with his choice.
Well, speaking of, we're in Nashville, Vanderbilt's campus, not far from the radio station. They just hired Derek Mason, not this Derek Mason, as their new head coach. I don't know if you have any interaction or you know him very well as your son, or has he talked about Derek Mason at all?
No, I don't know much about him in that sense. No, sorry.
It's okay. Well, listen, not only have you made a tremendous accomplishment in the NFL, being a Hall of Famer, you also did in the college ranks, being a Heisman Trophy winner back in 1988. Now, I heard this question posed to you, and I think the fellas would be pretty interested to hear your response. Which one comes first, Heisman or Hall of Fame?
Oh, man. Wow. No, it's tough. It's tough because the Heisman year was such a bizarre year for me. Just kind of stepping out of the shadows of Thurman Thomas, another fellow Hall of Famer, and just being there and trying to make a name for myself. And it's funny because, the year Thurman left, and went to the pros, that was my junior year, and everybody was thinking, okay, what are we going to do without Thurman? He's been here doing all the work the last couple of years. And I had grown up watching Charles White and watching Billy Sims, Marcus Allen, Tony Dorsett, Earl Campbell. I mean, every running back who came through college, I was intently watching them. And so I understood that the kind of year I was having just didn't happen. It didn't happen, and it almost seemed unreal. And so I was thrilled to be a part of that. That's probably the year that stands out the most to me, football-wise, just because for me it was so out of nowhere, and the stats almost seem like a video game. So that's if I had to choose one. Since that was the first one, then I had to choose that one. Right. Even though I got on the gold jacket today. Even though I have on the gold jacket.
You do have the gold jacket on, and it looks good. I remember when I lived in Cleveland, buddies of mine, we would go to Detroit, to the Pontiac Silverdome, just to watch you play, because it's not that far from Cleveland. In fact, you're going to be up there doing some things in early May in Cleveland, Ohio, for the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. We're having the Pro Football Hall of Fame Fan Fest. It'll take place on May 3rd and 4th. And, so many great Hall of Famers will attend this event. They'll have autograph sessions and football camps and things like that, really giving fans kind of a hands-on experience with their favorite Hall of Famer. So that's what we're doing. If you want to find out more about it, you can go to profootballhof.com/fanfest. And tickets are on sale now. and we look forward to it.
I bet you don't miss playing in that old rickety stadium on the lake in Cleveland. It was cold. I know you didn't have to play him very much.
It wasn't the greatest stadium. You're right.
No, it was not. Believe me. It was, by the end, it was a dump.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks
Great
for doing
fans,
this.
though. Great fans.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Tremendous fans. Thanks for doing this. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Enjoy
Barry
it, guys.
Sanders.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll take a break. We'll be back.